Jennifer, good evening. Perhaps the most watched race across Louisiana is the race for U.S. Senate. Now, our sister station in New Orleans is projecting that incumbent Senator John Kennedy has won a second term in Washington, D.C. You can see with 65% of the vote, almost 600,000 votes more than the challengers. Jennifer, good evening. I'm here on the corner of Tower and Bienville Drives here in Monroe, and if we pan the camera a little bit, this here is actually the land that Mayor Friday Ellis wants the City Council to purchase for $5.1 million. Now, Letlow told me she would support current House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of California for Speaker should Republicans take control of the House. Now, both candidates are concerned that the December runoff could have low turnout because there are no U.S. House or Senate races on the ballot. Hey, Aaron, if you like offense, what a matchup we have here at Stephen Fitzhugh Field. 5-2 Cedar Creek is in town to take on undefeated OCS. The Cougars are trying to avenge a playoff loss to the Eagles that ended their year a season ago. Well, Jennifer, the plan is for it to run from Atlanta to Dallas with stops in Monroe and Ruston on the way.
This is part of the strategy to build an economy for 2050, if you will.
Passenger rail could soon pass through Monroe.
If everything goes right, I think it's something that you could see in 2 years or less.
The Southern Rail Commission says the new line is a real possibility thanks to the proposed union of two railroad giants.
The most significant change and why we're here today is that Canadian Pacific, as part of their merger application with Kansas City Southern, has agreed in writing to participate in the study of the service and to participate in the implementation of the service.
Knox Ross, board chairman for the Southern Rail Commission, says the first step is commissioning a feasibility study, which he believes will show the route is ready for passenger rail.
You've got container trains all day long that people see are running at 60 miles an hour. Well, a passenger train runs at 79 miles an hour, and many times it's going to run less than that due to traffic. So this railroad has the extended sidings already there, it's got the signalization already there, it's got the positive train control already there, it's all going to be required, it's already there.
The biggest hurdle will be building stations along the route. Today, the city of Monroe unveiled a proposed station on Desert and North 3rd that has retail space and overnight parking. Mayor Friday Ellis says he believes it will help revitalize downtown.
Whether it be through sales tax dollars, tourism, just infrastructure, new businesses relocating there, and transportation opportunities, it's amazing. You can't ask for that kind of return on your investment.
Senator Bill Cassidy says North Louisiana should have a leg up because stakeholders tend to choose routes close to medical and educational institutions.
So somebody who needs to get specialty care comes to Monroe. Somebody who wants to come to a lecture at ULM comes to Monroe. But by the way, if that student in Monroe wants to also matriculate at Louisiana Tech, they could pop over to Ruston.
Now, the Rail Commission says the goal is to have 2 daily round-trip trains from Atlanta to Dallas. Jennifer? Jennifer, that's right. The sisters of Ketrick Calhoun came from Arizona and California to make sure their brother's killer is caught.
That's when he said, "I need you to sit down," and I knew right away something was wrong.
The sisters of Ketrick Calhoun, who was murdered while working at Foster Farms in Farmerville, say they won't stop searching until his killer is captured. His sister Elizabeth still remembers the call.
He said to me that Ketrick was in an accident. I said, "What do you mean he was in an accident?" He said, "Well, him and a guy on the job, something had happened, and our brother didn't make it."
Authorities say Bruce Causey, a work-release inmate, allegedly stabbed Ketrick to death on April 21st.
And all I can remember is storming out of my home and my husband coming after me. When I did come to, I was in the emergency room at the Veterans Hospital.
5 months later, Causey is still on the run. A private investigator hired by the family believes he's in South Louisiana or Texas.
If you think for 1 minute that you're going to run off into the sunset, wherever you go, we'll find you. You can't go anywhere where you won't be found. It may be today, it may be tomorrow, it may be 5 or 10 years from now. But you will come to justice and you will face us.
Elizabeth and Joanne say they want to honor their brother by reforming the work release program to make sure no one else is hurt.
To where they won't slip through the cracks and another family will never, ever have to experience the pain
that we're going through.
because it's senseless.
Now the sisters want Keytrick remembered as a caring, hardworking man, and they say he was the best brother anyone could ask for. Jennifer? Jennifer, Arkansas allows citizen groups to put constitutional amendments on the ballot if they get enough signatures.
Arkansas does not need another drug problem.
I think we're taking some of that dark marijuana trade off the streets, making it legal, taxing it, putting it in the light.
Hot debate in Arkansas over a constitutional amendment that would allow adults over 21 to possess up to 1 gram of recreational marijuana.
It sends the wrong message to our kids. It tells our kids it must be okay. It also sends the wrong message to the general public that somehow marijuana must now be harmless.
The amendment, written by Responsible Growth Arkansas, allows the state to distribute licenses to growers and retail stores. Jerry Cox is the director of the group Family Council.
If we allow this 100% THC into really colorful edibles, which is what this amendment does, then we're going to see a lot of kids suffer from this.
Lance Huey, the vice chairman for Responsible Growth Arkansas, says he believes the amendment will actually protect consumers by regulating cannabis.
We already have marijuana on the streets. It's just in the form of untested, untaxed, unsafe, oftentimes dangerous with what it can be laced with.
The state will impose a 10% supplemental tax on recreational marijuana. A study found that could result in $460 million over 5 years. The amendment outlines where that money would be allocated.
So the stipend for law enforcement, the money to help fund Arkansas's drug courts, the money for the state's general fund, that's money that will come in every year from here on.
Cox says the potential risks of legalization outweigh the economic impact.
I wish they could say that to a lady who came by my office whose son was killed in a head-on collision on the freeway here in Arkansas by a man who was high on marijuana and using alcohol.
Now, the amendment will appear as issue 4 on ballots in Arkansas. Jennifer? Once complete, the project is expected to create 175 jobs and have a $30 million impact over 5 years.
It's going to really provide a lot more opportunity in this area for people to realize their dreams without having to go somewhere else.
A groundbreaking for the Biomedical Research and Innovation Park in Monroe. The 60,000 square foot facility will serve as an incubator for medical research and design.
Today we begin the process that will eventually allow our faculty and students to partner with leading researchers and companies from around the world to create a hub for innovation and economic development, improve communities, and improve lives.
The first part of the project will use money from a federal economic development grant to construct roads near the ULM College of Pharmacy.
We'll be under construction with the streets by the end of the year, early next year. Then the building construction will start by early summer of next year, followed by 12 to 18 months of construction.
24 of the $31 million allocated for the project comes from state funds. Governor John Bel Edwards says that's only possible because of his administration's responsible handling of the budget.
Had you come to see me 6 years ago, I'd have said, can't do it. But we've worked really hard in Louisiana to overcome the largest budget deficit ever, to diversify our economy, to make sure that we are able to invest in education.
The governor also committed to setting aside an additional $4 million for the project, which he says is needed to combat the cost of construction materials due to inflation.
So we have multiple ways to do this. We're going to work with the legislative delegation, almost all of whom were here today, to identify the best way forward. But the funding is there, and there's enough different ways to do it that I feel very comfortable making that commitment today.
Now, after attending the groundbreaking at the Biomedical Research Park, Governor Edwards spoke to the Monroe Chamber of Commerce in a State of the State address. He highlighted the state's unemployment rate and investments in Northeast Louisiana.